I'm going to try and get this done now. I've had quite a few technical problems that I've been trying to work through. I've got it all sorted out. I did some imaging last night and it all seems to have gone well. So I'm going to try now, just run you through from start to finish, but my focus will be on guiding. So the first thing, as I mentioned in the previous video, I hope, is that the first thing you have to do is open up PowerBox and just connect it so that that connects all the devices and provides them all with power. Okay, so that's done. Then we're going to open up, sorry, not that. We're going to open up Nina. And let's just hope everything connects. It should do, and normally it works perfectly. I don't know what the technical problems were. I spent a huge amount of time trying to figure it out, but it seemed to start working last night. Okay, so that's Nina opened. So the first thing we'll do is we'll just try and connect to all the equipment. So okay. Okay, this is all good. This is exactly what you want. Okay, so that's great. We can even see an image through the guide scope at the moment, so that's fantastic. Okay, so we can minimize all this. We'll go to the framing wizard, and I'm going to do the Rosetta. It's the only thing up at the moment. Let me just see what the Rosetta's M number is. It is NGC 244. So let's try that. And we will load image. Okay, so you get different images depending on what catalog you're using. So let's try the NASA catalog. So these are all offline, so that it has to go to NASA's database and collect the information. The whole thing does seem to be operating fairly slowly. I'm not really sure why. Let's just try HIPS 2. Close that and try and load. Okay, there we go. Okay, so that took a huge amount of time. I'm not really sure. Normally it's instantaneously, but it might just be because my Wi-Fi is flaky or the connection, whatever the case may be. So, okay, so we're going to sit and we're going to slew and center first of all. So we'll hit that. So what the scope is doing now, it'll take a picture of the night sky from where it's pointing to right now, which is currently at Polaris. So it'll get confirmation of where it is, and then it'll slew to where it should go, and then it'll do another plate solve. So this can take a little while, particularly since the internet connection seems to be pretty slow. So you just have to bear with it. See, it's taking images at the bottom. Okay, so that's the image it took. And now it'll compare that image to the database of images. I've got it set to ASTAP. Okay. Now it looks like it's rotating. I can almost see outside. Okay, so that's theoretically what it's done now. So we will hit add target to sequence in the simple sequencer, and what we will do now is we'll make sure the camera cooler is on, the mount is unparked, meridian flip is on. We don't want to delay. We'll take all the images one after the other, That doesn't matter. The start time will be what the start time is. And target options. So we want to select a target again because that'll kick off another plate solving. We want to center on the target, absolutely. We don't want to rotate, but we do want to start guiding. With autofocus, we want to autofocus on start, autofocus on filter change, yes. We want to autofocus after temperature change, and we want to make that, let's make it 5 degrees Celsius. And then also after half flux radius increase, HFR increase, and let's leave that at 10%. So this image we're going to take, let's say we're going to take 20 images, and we're going to make them for 30 seconds long. They're pretty short. They will be light images, and we will use the luminance filter, and we will turn dither on. I did mention dither previously. So, right, and we're going to hit play, and let's see what happens. Hopefully this will go well. So first thing is first, is it's starting to cool the camera. You can see that there. You can flip over now to the imaging session over here, and this will show you everything that's imaging. That was the image taken by the guard scope. And let's see where we end up. I do think the telescope is currently out of polar alignment, so we may not end up exactly on target. I know I was out there today cleaning up, and I may have bumped it. Well, in fact, I know I bumped it, so I've been lazy. So it's at 14%. This takes a little while to cool down the camera. And it's also been quite warm today, so I think it was about 30 degrees today, so if you wanted to take a quick image, you could do that over here. It would mess things up right now, but you could take a quick image over here. You need to take a bit of time to learn Nina. There's lots of different views, there's lots of different things that you can view over here. I've got the one set up with the most frequently used, that I'm used most frequently, but there are others. Like you could have up top here, you could have an image history displayed, or the plate solving, or autofocus, a whole load of different images. And there are very good tutorials online for how to use Nina. And I'll send you a couple of links to a couple of my preferred YouTubers who really helped me a lot. So we're at 41% complete. I'm getting there. At the top over here, you can see options of things that are currently connected. And then one day when you get really good, you can have a dome. It's kind of cool the way the domes work now. They can be totally automatically programmed, so you can literally sit from where I'm sitting, and you can start the session, and it'll open the dome and rotate the top of the dome so that the telescope can point outwards. There's a whole lot of cool things that you can do once you've got the dome set up. I mean, for what I'm doing right now, I could probably not have bothered about cooling the camera, because I'm not imaging for the sake of developing a high quality image. I'm just imaging, but I just wanted to show you through the whole process. And once it's cooled, it'll maintain that temperature throughout, unless, of course, if anything goes wrong and it breaks, then that's another whole problem. We won't even contemplate that. Bless you. I actually, in one of the videos, mentioned that the cooling goes to -10 degrees below the ambient temperature. and that is true for one camera that I have, but for this camera it actually takes it to minus 10 degrees, so it takes a bit longer. I mentioned that to you in a previous video, but I was wrong. I was thinking about another camera. Almost there. Sorry for the background noise. Auntie Kerry doesn't know about microphone and background noise. Hey, babe. Okay, right. So camera's cooled down enough, so it'll do another plate solve. So yeah, so I think I'm actually not pointing at the right place right now because I did bump the telescope today, so it doesn't. Its polar alignment is out. So apologies for that, but it doesn't matter. It's what it is. So it'll be autofocusing right now. So the focus was pretty good, but it'll still go up and down and check for focus. At the bottom over here, this is a graph that will be displayed once it starts guiding, and guiding is it's a very complicated topic that really takes quite a lot of studying. The best software is the one I've got used here. It's called PhD2. It's Push Here Dummy. It's really designed to be incredibly simple, but there are some tricks to it. And I'll just give you a very, very high-level overview of what you're really looking for when it comes to guiding when it goes through. It's starting to flatten out now. So you can see the graph is started at a high point and it's coming down. And the lower, at this point over here, it'll flatten down. That means it's in focus here, and it'll keep going and it'll lose focus. And then what it does is it decides you through an algorithm where that number is, what the perfect focus is. And then it just moves the telescope to that. So this will probably take another 4 or 5 more images, maybe 6, just to make sure that that is the low point.
Turn the light on.
No.
Fuck.
It's okay.
Can you send me a video from NASCAR and a photo of the two of them?
That's what.
Where did you see it? I've sent it both of you. Oh, it's everywhere. That's cool. Can I watch it before you record?
Yeah. Okay, so what you'll see now is that the guider has actually started. So I'm going to flip away from this right now. It'll just continue to run, and I'm going to jump into the actual guiding screen over here. So this is the software that I use to guide. So the way that this works is it looks at each individual star. In this particular case, it's looking at several. It's actually guiding off of this star over here, but it's also comparing movement to all of these, and it looks at all the movements and it decides that it needs to send a minute adjustment to the mount, either in the right ascension or in the declination angle. Obviously, the better you are guiding, the fewer micro movements it has to make. So it's really trying to make sure that the tracking of your telescope is perfectly in sync with the movements of the Earth. So it's quite complicated. At the moment, the guiding is pretty bad, but it's only just started and it takes a little bit of time to settle. It's also been a very, very hot day today outside, so there's been a lot of humidity, which means the air is quite shimmery, which means it battles to see the stars more accurately. But since this has only just started, we're going to let it run a little bit, and hopefully it'll settle down. What you're looking for is this total, the number in brackets, to be under 1, like 0.90 would be great. 0.70 would be like very, very good. If it was at 0.5, it would be like at observatory levels. And it is starting to settle down a little bit now. Now, you can influence some things. You can influence the number of seconds before in between each snapshot, as it were. At the moment, I've got it at 2.5, and that's because I did a guiding assistant, which is a process that you can go through if you believe there's something not quite right, and it'll run for 2 minutes on the guiding assistant, and then it'll come back and tell you, I recommend, or the software recommends that you make these changes, and then you make those changes and it invariably improves your guiding. I mean, I can actually see that it is settling down now. It's already dropped down to 1.07, and it just takes a little while for it to get into its groove. And the mount starts responding better, and it all looks and feels a lot better. So really, what you're aiming for in a perfect world, all of these, there would be basically just a blue and a red line running perfectly flat down here, and that's an impossibility, but that's really what you want. So what it means right now is that you've got the mount guiding the telescope, as well as PhD2 guiding the mount. So at the moment, you will see things like this. This is when you're dithering. So that's an intentional movement of the mount by the mount, so that the stars aren't always perfectly aligned from one image to the next image to the next image. So that when you're doing a process of calibration later down the line, when you're processing the images, you can calibrate them, and you'll know that you can eliminate hot pixels and various other bits and pieces out of the equation. You can actually see it settling down quite nicely now. So let's just clear the history so we can eradicate all that past, and let's just see what it looks like over a period of time. Not sure why it's not. I wonder if it's not giving a response. Sorry, that was me. I'm just trying something quickly. So just ignore everything I'm doing right now. Yeah. So just ignore that for a second. So this is Nina's version of guiding. It shows you the exact same graph as you would see on PhD2. I'm also very impatient with these things. I always keep forgetting this is a very small machine sitting outside, And it's also on wireless. So half of these little pauses is because the communication between the laptop outside or the mini PC outside and the machine here are just a little bit delayed. You can actually see the guiding's actually looking pretty good right now at 0.49. That's unrealistic. I'd say that it won't stay at 0.49. But it's a good indication. I mean, the mount is a very good mount to start off with, and the software just makes it so much better. If you left it for the night and you got a 0.46, every one of your stars would be absolutely pinpoint accurate. So that's pretty good. Pretty comfortable with that. So let's see how many images we've taken so far. We've taken 7 out of the 20 we requested. So what we'll do now is we can just have a look. I just want to show you how I've saved things. So I'll just minimize this for a second, and that, because we don't need that. So I'm minimizing. This all runs in the background now. Really, in a perfect environment, you could actually just leave it run for hours. I never do. I can't keep my eye on it as well the whole time. So in here, on this computer, I have linked it to your Google Drive. Okay, you see there was an error, but it just said skipping, so that's fine. And under a folder called Astronomy, and you can see these are some of the images that you probably would have access to them right now already. So that's where all the images are taken. What you're going to have to do is you're going to have to copy these images onto another computer, and then delete them out of here, because this has got a very small memory on this computer, and it will choke up real quick, so you have to be careful about that. So let's just see what's actually happening over here. After 62.5 seconds, okay, this happens very rarely, but it does happen when Nina and the guide scope fall out of sync with each other just for a brief moment in time. You can actually see that the guiding's actually started up again, but the error message hasn't disappeared. So you just remove the error message and the guiding will continue. So typically what has happened here, and I think this is a known bug, what's happened here is when the dither happened, the Nina didn't get, or the camera didn't get the instruction that it should have got. And as a consequence, it reported back to Nina saying, hey, I've done nothing for 62 seconds, therefore there's a problem, okay? But typically, you don't very rarely get those. In fact, I can't recall seeing one for a while. But that's kind of why you have to keep your eye on it the whole time. Okay, but I mean, I think that's really all I wanted to show you tonight, is how the guiding. Take some time, do a bit of research on guiding, read the manuals for PhD 2 and for Nina, as well as the manuals for all the equipment that we'll be sending to you, so you can get yourself really up to familiar. And you can actually do all that reading before the equipment arrives and get yourself familiar with stuff before it happens. Okay, so what we'll do now, let's assume that was the end of the night session. Okay, so we're just going to simply disconnect all the equipment. Okay, so that has disconnected all the equipment. The session has been saved. The nice thing about Nina, with the exception of the sequence, it saves all your settings all the time. So you don't ever have to really worry about that. So that's Nina finished. Let's just close that. And we are now done. It'll pop up do I want to save that target? And no, I don't want to save it because I'm not interested in filming that. So and then that's it. It's hang on. Do you want to close? Sorry, yes, I want to close without saving it. Okay, so that's that. Now it doesn't go and close all the equipment. You actually have to physically go in and close things. I just literally do it from here. Close. Okay. Cool. Tomorrow I will bring the telescope inside and I will start dismantling it, and I will film that process so you can see how to put it all back together.